Sony PlayStation is about to buy Square Enix so that they can legally own everything from Dragon Quest to Final Fantasy to even things like, I don't know, Forspoken. And as impossible as this sounds, it seems to be true. But let's talk about this big report and why the source is definitely correct. What's up, gamers? Dreamcastguy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, I put up another video just a bit ago talking about the big leaks for Grand Theft Auto 6, but somebody said you don't like that I use the word leak, so call that a squirting video. Just say it's about girls squirting. Okay, so here is this. Sony is trying to buy Square Enix Japan, but not their Western studios. Now, this is actually a very, very interesting report that came out yesterday. I wanted to talk about it because, honestly, it goes very, very in-depth, and it's actually by the founder of Eidos Montreal. Now, there is some important context to know about this, which is that Square Enix is definitely very, very, very big, but they haven't been very profitable over the course of the last couple years. While stuff like Final Fantasy XIV has exploded in popularity and things like Nier Automata has really diehard fan bases, in general, Square Enix is not really churning out as many games as they probably would like, which is why recently they sold off about half of all the studios they own. This article actually begins even talking about that deal because this was called the Embracer Group acquisition, where they decided to sell off Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. These were all the Western developers that were making stuff like Soul Reaver and Tomb Raider, and for some reason, Square Enix sold all of them for an extremely cheap price. I think it was $300 million, and these companies were easily worth billions of dollars. It seemed like they just gave them away, and the reason they did this is apparently to make themselves much more palatable to Sony themselves. And this is coming from the founder of Eidos. Like, his exact talk here is that he heard rumors that Sony is really interested in Square Enix Tokyo, but not the rest. He believes this is the reason why Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal were sold off at what everybody believes is such a low cost. I think that Square Enix CEO Yosuke Matsuda, he wanted to put it like a garage sale. The theory is that this would back up previous insider rumors from people like Jeff Grubb. Now, apparently what's happening is that right now, Square Enix, because they're not bigger and better, they do want to be bought. I think that Square Enix is in a spot where they want to keep making big budget games. Clearly, Square Enix developers enjoy flashy, hyper-realistic graphics. They enjoy crazy leveling systems. But the weird part about this that I feel like is the giant question mark is, if this deal goes through, is every game going to be console exclusive? Now, before we start to look at the rest of this report, I do want to quickly speculate. I think this deal is 1000% actually going to happen. I bet we're going to find out about it in general very, very soon. But I think that this is not going to be all about console exclusive with everything. Now, what I mean by that is that it feels like Square Enix has actually made a surprising amount of profit with a lot of their Switch exclusive games, things like Octopath Traveler or Triangle Strategy. Recently, they launched Live Alive, which is fantastic. It's become a big fan favorite instantly. Some people even saying it's the best Super Nintendo remake of all time, which I think it might actually be. These are all Nintendo Switch exclusives, but they're also just making huge piles of wet cash. Yeah. Wet money. I don't know if that's good or bad, but my thought is that if Square Enix does get bought by Sony, I think this stuff is still absolutely going to exist. Now, the reason I think that is because recently, obviously, we had the Bungie acquisition. Bungie got bought for like $3.6 billion by Sony, but they said that Destiny is going to stay third party. Destiny is still going to actually exist on other platforms. It's still going to be sold. Expansions are going to come out on Xbox and PC forever. And some future projects, like whatever the secret games as a service stuff that Sony is working on, they're just going to have those Bungie developers help with that. I personally believe that this is probably what Square Enix is going to do, which is probably keep stuff like Final Fantasy as a console exclusive to boost the sales of the PS5, but I have a strong inkling that the slightly less popular stuff, the more mid-tier games, their AA or lower AAA stuff, that is the stuff that's still going to be third party, that's going to appear on other platforms, because honestly, it's pure profit. Going back to the article here, you can see that there is this long history of a partnership that currently exists inside of Sony connecting to Square Enix. The fact that the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy is going to be a console exclusive forever. Obviously, Babylon's Fall is a console exclusive forever, but that game also is a wet fart, so I don't know why we're even bringing it up in a positive sense. And then also, there's the timed exclusivity deal for Forspoken, which is rumored that it's not able to come to any other consoles for at least 2 years. It seems like right now, there has been this very lucrative business deal between Sony and what's going on with Square Enix, but I think Square Enix wants to go a step further. A lot of times it does seem like having a big expensive publisher above you definitely helps. When you're not worried about sales target demographics, when you're able to just focus on making the best product possible, this can be a good thing. Especially because it does seem like over the course of this last couple years, especially as we enter this Jim Ryan era, Sony seems very, very obsessed with trying to make remakes, like straight up like the Medieval remake, Shadow of the Colossus, Demon Souls. It does seem like right now, Sony is very enamored with the idea of reaching into their very long past and picking up particular gems and bringing them back. And Square Enix, they've been doing that as well. The fact that they did the amazing remaster they did for Final Fantasy VIII. There's also things like the new Tactics Ogre remake called Tactics Ogre Reborn that's about to come back. Obviously, we're getting things like Star Ocean. Like, it does seem like Square Enix is almost trying to copy off the homework of Sony, and I think that's just because they're sort of aligning. The one major talking point against this idea of an acquisition is the fact that it could be that this is all just hot speculation. There is something I've heard, and I'm not sure how true it is, but apparently a lot of these companies are constantly in light business discussions about buying each other out. Like, cell phone companies are constantly just having general meetings about the idea of somebody eating each other up like Pac-Man, or sometimes Nintendo is talking about buying third-party people. Xbox is always talking about indie studios and who they can scoop up. And a lot of these talks go nowhere, but it's important to keep those discussions going. In fact, they have entire departments, acquisition departments, whose entire job it is, I'm not even joking, I've heard about this, they just have lunch with the people, like executives at the other studios, to see when they want to stop being independent, when they want Daddy Sony, or if they want Phil Spencer to show up and start paying their bills. And I think that could be what this is that maybe he, being so high up in the food chain, perhaps he saw some of these meetings and assumed there's more intent. But as it stands, I think 1,000,000% that Sony is going to buy Square Enix. And I also think this is going to end up being good for the Final Fantasy fans like myself. I think they need better management. I think that Square Enix definitely needs a different boss, a different tastemaker. I think they need somebody else in the driver's seat to be pressing the gas and to be pressing the brake. But that's just my personal point of view. What do you think about all this? Are you excited for this deal? Does this seem like a gigantic red flag? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And please, be sure to watch my other video of the day all about Grand Theft Auto 6 and apparently the female protagonist and squirting, I guess. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. And also, keep dreaming. I've been sipping this Red Bull since I recorded the last video, and now it's empty. All right, time to hit the gym. Work out every day. Do your abs, boys. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.